Hi, welcome to my train room. I'm Bob, and beyond this door lies Yamakaigan layout. Before we go inside, let's take a quick look at the train room itself. It's located in a double garage, which does have some disadvantages, one of them being heat. As you can see, there's an iron roof up there, and it means that this room can get very hot. So health and safety does need to come first. So I would thoroughly recommend, if you're in a similar situation, that you set up a first aid station. In my case, it's the good old Kiwi beer fridge. So if it gets too hot, all I've got to do is go and reach inside and grab a cool well, it was pretty hot last weekend. Let's carry on. Now the train room itself measures 5 metres by 5 metres, which in feet and inches is a goo-goo. Convert 5 metres to feet and inches.
5 metres is 16 feet 4.85 inches.
Yeah, I knew that.
You're smarter than Einstein after a coffee.
The room itself has 3 freestanding sides and uses one wall of the garage with a very simple roof. It's basically to keep out dust and vermin. You can see the light coming through at the top of the garage. That means a lot of dust does come into this room and a lot of bugs and insects. In fact, above the roller doors there's a large gap where even birds can fly through, and crickets and mice and other things get in from underneath. Now when I designed the room, I stepped it back from the exterior wall with the roller door. That means I can still use the roller door to access garden equipment and other things in storage. And you'll note at the far end of the room itself, it does go out into the corner of the garage, which gives me a little bit of extra space for a helix. I also built a box on legs which serves as a container for my storage track. Flaps on both sides enable me to access every part of the interior. A lot of these trains are actually about 30 years old now, but still run well. The area underneath is used for storage. After laying nice straight track, it turned to spaghetti with the heat buckling the rails. The heat itself radiates down from the ceiling, and although the space shuttle had ceramic tiles as a heat shield, the best I could think of was to use some lengths of shelving iron over which I placed cardboard, and that provides an air barrier just to stop the heat getting through. On top of that I put cardboard boxes, etc. So essentially since then it hasn't been a problem. Building the room was a fun part of the project. I did have a window and I needed to make provision should I ever need to replace the glass. I added insulation to the exterior wall to help control temperatures. And while this was happening, I also spent time to design a layout that would fill the room. And so it began. And this is what I ended up with. The actual track placement was worked out as I built the baseboards, and although the layout is now 15 years old, it's only in the last couple of years that I've actually drawn up a track plan that matches the layout. As you can see, there's a hidden storage area, and the main tracks all run in from the same direction, which enables me to change from one part of the layout to another. I've achieved what I wanted to do. I've got a Tokaido double track main line which makes an appearance and through the main station, around the peninsula, and then disappears again. And that's mainly automated running, with a variety of trains passing through the scene. I've also got a suburban line, a commuter line, and that's a point-to-point run, and once again it heads through the layout, converts to a single track, and then to a hidden station. From the operational point of view, that's achieved by the coastal line. It starts at this port town, runs around the layout to another yard, or from there I can go to a steam depot or into the hidden storage. I also have a mountain line which runs up through the spiral or Norlex or Helix or whatever, and comes out on the top level. Other lines that I've got a branch line which runs around the higher level of the layout, which mainly has logging traffic. I've got a Shinkansen high-speed run which starts from a hidden storage area, appears behind the main buildings, and then disappears from sight and goes into a second hidden storage area. And I also have a number of tram runs. The layout itself, it's starting to show its age now, just as I am, and although we're past our best by dates, we haven't reached the expiry date yet. Let's go and have a look. And we'll throw some lights on the subject. I have a remote to turn on the power to the various sections, and that just works a remote on-off power point. And Murphy's Law, there's one that doesn't work, so I'll have to get under here and manually activate it. I must confess I haven't done anything to it in the last 2 years, so at the moment I'm just getting the track cleaned up and seeing what will run and what will not run. Now I'll just fire up the heart of it, and that's this computer. Now this here is sea level, and it's the lowest part of the layout. So it has a yard and a small town set in the 1960s, although I do run modern age trains here. It's a terminus station, which means all trains arriving need to be turned around for the return trip. I do have a return loop hidden behind the hill in the corner, so I can be a bit sneaky and just reverse a train by doing a loop. Now the tracks are set on various levels, the lowest being the main yard itself, and then it rises up to the next level, which means I can use this as a hump yard. So it's just a question of trains shunting the various rolling stock into position. And the track at the back's higher again. So storage tracks and a station. Service facilities are at the end, and there is a repair shop for diesel traffic at the other end. So I really only need one screen to control the layout, but because I've got these old screens which are surplus from years gone by, I've made use of them. So over here I also have a camera in my hidden storage area, which enables me just to keep an eye on what's happening. Essentially I can control everything from here, or I can use a cell phone or small tablet as a handheld throttle. Two tracks depart from this station. One is a coastal route, and that follows around the outside of the layout. There was a sort of hidden area here, but I've since added a couple of peepholes just so I can follow progress. And then from there trains will arrive at Ashigawa Station. And there is a small yard, or trains can go further on to the main hidden storage area. Through the tunnel the line extends to a steam depot. The other line from the port town climbs up through a spiral in the back corner and eventually arrives at this upper level. And here there are some industries, mainly sawmill related and tree felling. Suburban line is a point-to-point track, and that runs to the other side, station area, and I've yet to do a backdrop. Now this backdrop here, it's been something I've been putting off for some time, but it's basically going to be a series of building fronts which go up to the top of the hill level. Then the suburban line has a 4-track station, and from here it converts to a single line through the gorge into a hidden storage area behind this hill. The last of the main tracks is my Tokaido line, which is essentially a loop through the centre portion of the layout. So trains arrive at the station here go around the peninsula and disappear the other side. The concrete floor of the garage does have expansion joints, which are put to good use by running cables to the central and far side of the layout. The best thing that I have done here is put these rubber mats in. And I did this probably about a year ago, and it's the best thing I've ever done. It's just so comfortable now walking in here. Previously, if a model dropped off the layout onto the floor, it's the same as throwing it off the Eiffel Tower. There's not going to be a lot left. But now, after putting these mats down, if something gets knocked off the layout onto the floor, well, it's still the same as being thrown off the Eiffel Tower, but at least I've got nice comfy feet. This is an analog layout, and the hardware is mainly from CTI Electronics. So the power is applied directly to the track in blocks, and that powers whatever train is sitting on it. The trains are profiled so that they can respond in a realistic manner. So down here we have what's referred to as a smart cab, and that is basically a throttle, and that will control whichever trains are on the block. So the wiring from that goes up to a series of relays where I use another module, in this case it's called a signalman, to switch to the particular parts of the layout that I want that train to run on. They then go through a occupancy detector before going to the track itself. All these modules are linked together by a loop made up of modular cables. These are the same as what you might find on the older type 4-wire phone system. Now I had 3 of these circuits from CTI. One is links to the computer by USB, and the other 2 by serial ports. Now in addition I have a 4th circuit by another company, and that is no longer producing them, and these are by Oak Tree Systems, and they're referred to as various RCI components. For example, this one up here actually controls 8 throttles with 8 occupancy detectors and overload circuits, so that has a lot squeezed onto one board. In addition, throughout the layout, various sensors will pick up where the train is at and relay that information to the computer. Now all of these circuits come back to this central point here, where there is an interface. The CTI one is called an ACER unit, and that just then passes on the information to the computer to be accessed by the Railroad & Co software. I've used a number of screens, but I really don't need them all. You can run the whole layout on just one and just change to the particular area of the layout that you want. I have a display to control trains in all parts of the layout, and it's just a simple matter of clicking on one of these symbols to activate a train schedule. For example, if I wish to run something on the Tokaido line, I select which train by choosing either a north track or the south track run, and then just clicking on it, and it will do a loop with an automated stop at the station. Or I can set up to run trains on a schedule. For example, this one here, stays on there, runs rush hour trains every 2 to 8 minutes. I can then go to the various panels to have a look at what's actually happening on that part of the layout. And the Tokaido is this part here, that's the layout part, and on the left hand side is the hidden storage for the whole layout. I've got the same for the coastal line, which is this bottom part, and the mountain line, which is the top part. These are both single track runs. To make it more interesting, I have a rule to only allow short wheelbase trains on the mountain lines and non-electrified trains on the coastal line. The suburban line is depicted by this panel, and I have panels for the various yards. So there you have it, a quick look at the Yamakaigan Railway. I hope you've enjoyed this visit. It now remains for me to finish cleaning the track and to ensure that next time there's something running. Hope to catch you then. Bye.